Hey, what's happening? Happy Thursday, everybody. It's Daryl here. It is not so bright and freaking early anymore. It's 7 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. This is kind of an extra video. I've been thinking about this for probably about 3 or 4 weeks now, and I've been wanting to do a video on this. And it's pretty simple. I have this theory about comedians, male comedians, and uh, them losing their edge, losing their ability to make me laugh personally, losing their success. I don't know if it's just me, or if it's more people. And I want you guys' opinion on this. I have two different theories, and I'm gonna talk about Kevin Hart in a second in particular. But these are my two different theories. I think if there's something with men looking a little too serious, a little too macho, a little too manly, and I think that takes away from their lighthearted comedic edge. The comedians that I have in mind, there's comedians that got muscular, built muscle, and lost their comedic edge, in my opinion. And then there's guys that grew beard. Comedians, I believe that if comedians had beards to begin with, and you were used to seeing them with the beards to begin with, then it didn't make a difference. I can't think of any, like George Carlin, maybe. But this is my theory. When comedians grow beards, it makes them look a little too serious, a little too. I wouldn't use the word threatening, but manly. It takes away from their comedic edge. And Kevin Hart is one. I think the more he started with a goatee and he was really funny, or with very little facial hair, and the more facial hair he got, the less funny he became, in my opinion. And I'll talk to you guys about that in a second. And then there's muscles. Comedians building muscles. And again, I'm not sure. I don't particularly think that I'm threatened by other males, but I think comedians might lose their edge. They look more serious, like they should belong in a different genre, like action or drama or something like that. Carrot Top. I think Carrot Top is he's still around. I think he does shows in Las Vegas. But he went from, the original Carrot Top, and he looked hilarious a lot of times. Just the way he looked was kind of like a sight gag. And then he got ripped. He built a lot of muscles. And to me, he just doesn't have the same edge anymore. Another one was Joe Piscopo. And I don't know if you're from the 80s, you might remember Joe Piscopo. And you might argue that this was just a case of somebody not being funny to begin with. And that could be the case. But Joe Piscopo started off. He did a couple of movies with Danny DeVito. I can't remember offhand, but then he got all jacked, and in my opinion, his comedic career went down the tubes with becoming more manly. Okay, the other theory, now that it might be one theory or the other. My other theory has to do with commercials, or it might be both. If comedians do commercials that a lot of commercials just aren't funny. They don't have the time or the timing for a good comedic value, I think. And let me talk about Kevin Hart in particular here, because it's my theory that his doing commercials, I'm sure I'll talk about the commercials he's done lately, and they're just not funny. They've gone from being not funny to being seriously irritating, to getting to the point where I don't even want to see Kevin Hart anymore. I don't want to see his movies. Now I'm just not even interested in this guy. Okay, let's see. One of the first movies I saw with Kevin Hart, I know that these are backwards. I apologize for that. One of the first movies, Get Hard. Now, if you see, he's got very little facial hair there. I love this movie. This is the movie that turned me on to Kevin Hart. He's hilarious. His facial expressions, his gestures, his timing. I became an instant fan when I watched this movie. Let's see. Another one. Let's see here. He's got a goatee on Ride Along and Ride Along 2. And I think he was funny in both of these, with him playing off Ice Cube as being the straight man. I found that very entertaining, and there was a lot of action in those too. See, so he was coming out of he was moving into another genre. It was almost, it wasn't just comedy, it was action. See what I mean here? I think sometimes if they go to a different genre, oh, another bearded comedian, um, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was hilarious in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and everything else. And now you see him with a beard, and the dude just does not look. He looks scary. He looks like he belongs, and that's just fine if they want to expand their acting, their acting abilities into drama. But I think it takes away from their comedic value. Okay, Night School. This wasn't a hit, but I found it very funny. Tiffany Haddish, I just did a video about her too, talking about her being clean and sober for, I think it was 72 days, court ordered. And if you go back about a week, you see that video. I really liked this movie. It didn't do too good with the critics, I don't think, but now this is where I think he started to lose it. And it looks like I think he had more of a beard in this, the wedding ringer. Wedding Ringer, yeah. I don't know. He played a more serious role. In my opinion, he was starting to lose his comedic edge in this. And I hate to say that because he was one of my favorite comedians at one time. All right, let's talk about these commercials. These commercials, in my opinion, are just, they went from kind of shaking my head when I first saw them to getting just plain irritating. There's commercials that just you see over and over and over again. Like the Lumi commercial, the body deodorant commercial. I swear to God, if I see that one more time, I'll be ready to open. I can't say it, there's another one, consumer, it's for telephones with the red hair. It's a comedian with red hair and he's got facial stubble. And I see that commercial over and over again. I see it like 50 times a day, and I've started to hate him. I've started to hate his red hair. I've started to hate his his beard. I've started to hate the pants that he's wearing. I've started to hate the orange sweater he's wearing in this commercial. This is the one where he says, "Prove to me you're not a robot." And the woman goes, and he goes, "Definitely not a robot." I don't know if you ever saw that. Okay, so Kevin Hart's commercials. There's the one where these are for Capital One, I believe, where he's looking for donuts. What this has to do with credit cards, I'm not exactly sure, but he's looking in the donut case, and he says, "Let me get one of those." No, let me get one of those. To me, he's just aggravating. He's just aggravating. So he's picking different donuts, and he keeps changing his mind. And the person behind the counter is going along with it. And then he goes, at the end, the supposed punchline, he goes, no, give me all of them. Give me all of them. And I guess that's about the ability to buy them with the credit card. But the commercial's stupid. It's not funny. Now, this is the one that, in my opinion, the commercial that has killed Kevin Hart's career. I just can't, it's gotten to the point where I can't stand the sight of Kevin Hart anymore. And it's the Capital One commercial. You probably know what I'm talking about, where there's the press conference, and it looks like he's at a basketball team. He's with two basketball players. I don't know who they are. I'm not a sports fan. And he's saying, we're talking about cash backing. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about cash backing. And he just says it over and over and over and over. And then the other guys say, are we talking about playing? No, we're talking about cash backing. We're not talking about a game. And I'm ready, man. I am just ready to bang my head against the TV set after a while. I don't see the humor in this. It's gotten to the point where it's just gotten aggravating. And I want to hear your all opinion on this. Kevin Hart have these commercials. Have you seen them? You must have seen them. Have you seen them? And how do you feel about them? Are you irritated by them like me? Do you especially the cash backing? We're not talking about a game. We're talking about cash backing. See, it gets irritating even with me saying it over and over again. It's gotten to the point where the next Kevin Hart movie I come out, if it's a comedy, I'm not going to want to see it. I don't see myself being interested in Kevin Hart's movies anymore. And I'm not sure if it's because of his beard, because his beard it makes him look bigger or thicker. You know, before he was like an agile, kind of funny dude. I don't want to say little dude, but, you know, small, agile, kind of funny guy. And the beard just made him seem slower and more serious. And then you add in the cash back. Oh my God, I'm gonna have that on my mind now today. I can't stand that commercial. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about cash back. I think it's killed his movie career. The case where commercials have killed comedians' careers. Is it beards and facial hair and muscles? Or is it commercials? Or is it both? Or do I not know what I'm talking about? Let me know in the comments. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Thursday.